Few cars in history managed to transcend their own mechanical nature and become living legends. The Ferrari 250 GTO is one of those rare cases. For many experts, enthusiasts, and collectors, it represents the pinnacle of automotive history. A fusion of cutting-edge engineering, handcrafted beauty, and a racing pedigree that's second to none. Today, more than 60 years after its launch, the 250 GTO is still the most coveted and most expensive car in the world. When one appears at an auction, or even in a rare public exhibition, it instantly becomes headline news. But to truly understand why the GTO is so special, we need to go back in time and dive into Ferrari's world of the 1950s and 1960s. In the 1950s, Ferrari was already known for its racing success. Enzo Ferrari, the founder, was obsessed with winning on the track. For him, road cars were simply a way to finance his true mission: victory in motorsport. This philosophy gave birth to the Ferrari 250 series, introduced in the mid-1950s. All these cars were powered by the now legendary Colombo V12 engine, a versatile powerhouse that could be tuned for endurance racing or refined for grand touring. By the late 1950s, Ferrari had already tasted glory at Le Mans, Mille Miglia, and other legendary races. But the early 1960s brought a new challenge: the FIA's Grand Touring GT category, which required manufacturers to homologate road-going versions of their race cars. This balance between road car and race car set the stage for the creation of the 250 GTO. The GTO was born out of both engineering brilliance and internal conflict. The project began under Giotto Bizzarini, a talented engineer who had already worked on the Ferrari 250 Testarossa. Bizzarini believed the new GT needed to be an evolution of the 250 GT SWB, with sharper aerodynamics and more stability at high speeds. He designed a longer nose, a lower roofline, and distinctive air intakes to maximize airflow. The result was an aggressive, shark-like machine ready to dominate circuits. But disputes with Enzo Ferrari himself, known as the Old Man, and internal politics led to Bizzarini leaving the project. At that point, Mauro Forghieri, another legendary engineer, stepped in to refine and finalize the design. The bodywork was sculpted by Carrozzeria Scaglietti, where panels were hammered by hand out of lightweight aluminum. That's why no two GTOs are identical. Each one has subtle variations, making them as unique as fingerprints. At its heart, the Ferrari 250 GTO carried the Colombo 3.0-liter V12 engine, fitted with 6 Weber carburetors and producing around 300 horsepower. It was mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox, allowing the driver to unleash that power all the way to nearly 174 mph. Astonishing numbers for the early 1960s. Weighing just 1,940 pounds, thanks to its tubular chassis and aluminum body, the GTO offered a near-perfect balance of speed, agility, and endurance. What truly set it apart was not just raw speed, but its drivability. On twisty circuits where rivals struggled, the GTO danced with elegance and precision. The name Gran Turismo Omologato translates to Grand Touring Homologated. In theory, Ferrari needed to produce 100 examples to meet FIA homologation requirements. But Enzo Ferrari, ever the cunning strategist, managed to get approval with only 36 cars built between 1962 and 1964. By making minor differences between chassis and bodywork, Ferrari argued that these were technically different models, which the FIA accepted. This clever loophole secured the GTO's place on the grid and cemented its exclusivity forever. The Ferrari 250 GTO made its debut in 1962, and it was an instant force. It won the FIA World Sports Car Championship in 1962, 1963, and 1964, securing Ferrari's dominance in endurance racing. It competed in legendary events like the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Targa Florio, and the Tour de France Automobile. Drivers like Olivier Gendebien, Phil Hill, and John Surtees took the wheel, making history with each victory. Against rivals like the Jaguar E-Type Lightweight and the Aston Martin DP214, the GTO wasn't always the most powerful, but it was the best balanced, and balance wins races. The GTO's beauty wasn't just skin deep. Every curve and vent was purposeful. The iconic oval grille channeled cool air into the mighty V12. The low sloping hood improved aerodynamics. Even the semi-covered headlights were designed to reduce drag at high speeds. The result was a car that looked like art, but performed like a predator. Decades later, design experts still rank the 250 GTO among the most beautiful cars ever made. By 1965, new machines like the Ford GT40 and Ferrari's own 250 LM began to overshadow the GTO in competition. Its racing reign had ended, but while it faded from the track, its legend only grew stronger off it. In the 1970s, a 250 GTO could be bought for under $10,000. At the time, it was just an old race car. By the 1980s and 1990s, collectors woke up. They realized that with only 36 examples ever built, and each with a pedigree of racing glory, the GTO was the holy grail of classic cars. Prices skyrocketed. The Ferrari 250 GTO holds the crown for the most expensive car ever sold. In 2018, a 1962 example fetched $48.4 million at an RM Sotheby's auction. In 2023, another sold for $51.7 million in New York, setting a new public auction record. In private sales, whispers suggest some GTOs have changed hands for $70 million to $80 million. Prices beyond imagination. No other production car has consistently commanded such astronomical values. The GTO's ownership list reads like a Hall of Fame. Nick Mason, drummer of Pink Floyd, proudly drives his GTO at classic events like Goodwood. The Sultan of Brunei, the world's largest private car collector, is believed to own two. Tech billionaires and aristocrats from Europe and the United States are among the select few allowed into this exclusive club. Every GTO has a story. Its race history, its previous owners, even its paint color can add millions to its value. The Ferrari 250 GTO has become more than a machine. It's a cultural symbol, appearing in books, art exhibitions, and countless documentaries. It represents an era when cars were hand-built, when engineers shaped aluminum with hammers and instincts, and when the line between race car and road car blurred. The GTO is often described as the Mona Lisa of automobiles. Unique, priceless, irreplaceable. The Ferrari 250 GTO is not just a car. It's a masterpiece, an investment, a cultural icon, and a living piece of racing history. With only 36 ever made, with victories etched into motorsport's golden era, and with values that continue to climb beyond belief, the GTO remains the undisputed king of cars. When we look at it, We don't just see metal and wheels. We see Enzo Ferrari's vision, the genius of Bizzarini and Forghieri, the courage of racing legends, and the dreams of collectors who would give anything to own one. The Ferrari 250 GTO will always be remembered as the most desirable, most valuable, and most legendary car in the world.